I want to welcome you to the 5 keto mistakes you must avoid if you want any chance at losing an average of at least 10 to 15 pounds every single month. Now, the reason why I put together this presentation is because I see so many people go on the keto diet. They initially lose a lot of weight, but then somewhere along the lines, they stop losing weight, they get frustrated, and they quit. And it's probably because of these 5 mistakes that they're making. So to better illustrate these 5 keto mistakes that you must avoid, we're gonna hop into my office and I'm gonna show you exactly what not to do so you can begin to lose weight and never get frustrated again. Okay, so let's dive right into the 5 keto mistakes, what you don't know about keto that could be keeping you stuck. But first, I gotta give you a little bit of an introduction of who I am. You're probably thinking like, who is this guy, Tim Ernst? Well, back in January of 2018, I was tipping the scales at 243 pounds. Now, something you may not be aware of, but I started my fitness journey at the age of 25. And now today in 2023, I'm 47 years old. So in this picture, I was 41, about to turn 42, and man, I had let myself go big time, all right? But when I got on the keto diet, I had set out to lose an average of 10 pounds per month. And by July, in 7 months, I lost 70 pounds. So there I am, 173 pounds. And I got to tell you, I have never had abs in my entire life until I got into my 40s and did the keto diet. So here's just a little side by side to give you a little bit of a comparison. On the left, I was 243 pounds and now at 173 pounds 7 months later. So this is me and my lovely wife, and we have a couple kids. There's my daughter and my son, Liam. All right. So now I just want to get into exactly who it is that I've actually helped with the keto diet in my Keto Shed 40 program. I'll be talking a little bit about that a little later in this training. All right. So I want you to meet 59-year-old grandpa who lost 70 pounds by applying my Keto Shed 40. Okay. So this is Jimmy, and I want to go ahead and just read what Jimmy had to say in his own words. This is what he had to say. I do weekly coaching calls with Tim to hold me accountable with my progress. Through the ups and downs, I stay confident now even when I have a bad meal or a snack I'm not supposed to have. I'm getting compliments left and right and feel really good about myself. Thank you, Tim Ernst. One more thing. Tim writes the whole plan for you. Eating, meals, workouts, no guesswork. All right. Now, I want you to meet 36-year-old diabetic who lost 80 pounds by applying Keto Shed 40. So here's Tony in his own words. I want to start out by saying thank you so much for helping me change my life for the better. You have helped me get into shape, increase my health, and help me stay here a bit longer for my family. It took me a little longer than 6 months to get here, but this is now a big part of my life. I will continue with this lifestyle and won't ever quit. This is now my life. But from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. I had tried everything before I got on your program and never got anywhere with my weight loss. I couldn't be happier with my decision to follow your program, and I will definitely let everyone who wants to lose weight give you a shout. I can't thank you enough for helping me get my life back on a healthy track, making this a lifestyle. That was my hardest battle with this. Making this a lifestyle. You helped me get through them times when I felt like just giving up. I told myself giving up wasn't an option, but at times it was hard. You made sure I stayed focused. Okay, I want you to meet 45-year-old dad, comes off a high blood pressure, acid reflux medication, and no longer has sleep apnea. And get this, he lost 70 pounds in just 4 months. Now, I will say that's not typical, but he was all in on my Keto Shed 40 program. So let me just read a little bit about what Art had to say in his own words. I wanted to give a huge thank you to Tim for helping me on my journey of changing my life. For over a decade, I have been battling my weight, multiple health issues, and even depression. I was feeling as if fighting a fight that I was never going to win. I was embarrassed and ashamed of the way I felt and looked. As fate would have it, I saw a post of Tim's. I started watching and reading Tim's posts. I took a leap of faith and contacted Tim. Thank God I did. Thanks to Tim, my outlook on life has changed. I have lost over 70 pounds in as little as 4 months. Tim provided me with the tools and support to achieve these goals. Tim kept me accountable and focused, never overbearing or judgmental. When I needed help or had questions, Tim was easily accessible and helpful. Tim made losing weight easy and not an unbearable misery. Tim, I want to thank you for everything. You helped me change my life around. So, would you like the same results? Okay, we're going to get into this training really quick, but I wanted to throw this out there. I want to offer you a free strategy call. All you have to do is go to ketoshed40.com or just simply click the button below this video to schedule a free 60-minute strategy call. Basically, we're going to talk about three things. We're going to talk about where you're currently at right now with your body, where you would really like to be, and then we'll figure out a game plan to get you unstuck. And by the end of the call, we'll see if you're a good fit for my Keto Shed 40 program. But I've only can take on 5 people at a time, so these are limited. So if you have any inclination that you really want to do this, make sure to click that button below. Okay, so let's get right into the training. Mistake number 1. This is a huge one. Not tracking calories. Okay, look, keto is an amazing diet to lose weight. However, if you're not tracking your food, calories, you can actually gain weight. Keto is more than just pounding a bunch of ribeye steaks, bacon, and butter. Here's an example. Let's say in order for you to lose weight, your body can only have about 1,800 calories, but you're consuming 2,000 calories, 2,200, 2,400 calories. You won't lose weight. Calories do matter with the keto diet. Now, you may be thinking, well, if all that matters is calories, then why even bother doing the keto diet? Well, that's a good question. The beauty of the keto diet is that it will eliminate cravings, keeping you more satisfied throughout the day. Therefore, you'll eat less, which puts you in a calorie deficit. Now, let me just ask you a question. How easy would it be to lose weight if you never had cravings or dealt with uncontrollable cravings? All right. It would be 10 times easier, all right? So make sure to track those calories. All right, mistake number 2, hidden carbs. Okay, there's a lot of hidden carbs you gotta be very careful with when going on the keto diet, okay? So with keto, you wanna only have about 5 to a maximum of 10% of your total daily calories coming from carbs. Okay, so what does that mean? So for most people, this is gonna wind up being around that 30 to 25 grams of carbs per day. And let me tell you from experience, even when you're trying not to, it's very easy to accidentally eat 25 grams of carbs, okay? Very rarely will someone grab a piece of bread or make a bowl of pasta while following keto. I mean, that's a complete no-no on the keto diet. However, there are many snacks and processed foods that might lure you in because it says sugar-free on the front of the box, okay? Now, if you were to take a closer look, you would see that they might have replaced that sugar with things like, corn or rice syrup, honey, sucralose, aspartame, things like that. Now, I will say about sucralose and aspartame, while those are sugar-free, you can kind of get away with it. So just be very careful with that. Just don't drink those types of artificial sweeteners in massive amounts, okay? It can kind of upset your stomach, okay? And here's the other thing I just want to let you know too, is that many people never check the nutrition label. And if you don't, then I would recommend that you start. But even if you check every nutrition label with such a low allowance of carbs, even certain vegetables can easily bring your total to over the amount of the allotted carbs. Okay. So higher, carb vegetables that you want to just kind of limit or avoid are things like onions, ginger, leeks, carrots, and pumpkin. All right. Now, some of the lower carb vegetables that you can have instead are vegetables like broccoli, celery, spinach, asparagus, and mushrooms. Okay. Now, I will say that carbs from veggies will come from the fiber that's in them. Okay. And it's recommended to get at least 7 to 10 cups of veggies per day. Now, and I know that's kind of sounds pretty difficult to do. So you know how I get away with it? I eat very large salads. I put all the olives and the cheese and the dressing. Make sure to get yogurt-based dressing, by the way. We're going to talk a little bit about that too. There's a lot of hidden carbs in dressing, so be very careful. I would recommend get yogurt-based, okay? Now, if you're using an app to track your calories and macros, carbs being one of them, the app is going to show that you're eating way too many carbs. However, that's usually coming from the veggies, so no need to worry. What I would recommend is don't even bother putting your vegetables in the app that you're using, whether you're using MyFitnessPal or Carb Manager. I kind of like Carb Manager. It's a great keto app to use, and I actually include it in my Keto Shed 40 coaching program, okay? The same thing goes with fruit. Now, the only fruit that I would stick with on a keto diet are small amounts of like strawberries, blueberries, raspberries. So those 4 berries are actually okay to have on the keto diet, all right? Now, one last thing to watch out for are nuts. Okay, nuts are very high in carbs. Okay, there's a lot of fat in nuts, but you want to eliminate, nuts from your diet, such as cashews, pistachios, and even almonds can sometimes be a little high in carbs. Now, while the lowest carb nuts are things like pecans, Brazil nuts, and macadamia nuts, which are actually my favorite. All right. Mistake number 3. This is a huge one. Too much dairy. All right. Dairy is one of those favorite go-to food options on a keto diet plan. Although milk and ice cream are clearly not allowed on the keto diet, dairy options like cheese and butter are high in fat and very low in carbs. Cheese and butter are both acceptable in the keto diet, but the big problem that people have is they don't realize how calorie-dense dairy food groups like cheese and butter are. It's very easy to overeat. Remember calories. We talked about that. And if you have too much fat from the dairy, that's going to increase your calories. Okay, so if you have too much fat from your diet, then your body will only be burning dietary fat for energy rather than your own body fat. It'll be difficult to burn fat if you're in a calorie surplus, whether that surplus is caused by high carbs or high fat. On top of that, there are only 2 types of protein found in dairy products that will stimulate a large insulin response. So if you're not familiar with insulin, that's something that's talked about on the keto diet. You want to try to keep that insulin baseline. You don't want to have these ups and downs with insulin and blood sugars. And keto will keep those blood sugars and insulin baseline. However, if you're getting, protein sources that have whey and casein in it, that can elicit an insulin response. So you don't want that. All right. Okay, moving on with the too much dairy, something else. One study found that full-fat fermented milk products and regular milk products were about as insulinogenic as white bread, if you can believe that. Even though milk will have more whey protein in it, cheese mostly still contains casein, which also stimulates the insulin response. Like I said earlier, high levels of insulin will prevent fat loss. So just be aware that when a dairy source has protein in it, it will usually cause a rise in insulin and blood sugar levels. All right. Now, since butter is mostly fat and has virtually no protein or no carbs, it won't do much to promote insulin. Okay. On a ketogenic diet, you can eat some cheese. However, cheese is not something that you want to go overboard with. Unfortunately, a lot of people do just that, which leads me right into the next mistake. Mistake number 4, eating too many keto approved foods. They are everywhere in the grocery store, okay? A lot of people think that you can eat as much keto approved food snacks as you want and you will still lose weight. That couldn't be further from the truth, all right? While for most people, it's common sense that products like cheese and butter can make you feel fat when eaten in excess, a lot of keto dieters seem to forget this very simple fact. Portion control has to exist on any diet plan for the plan to work. If you create a large enough surplus of calories, even if they're all coming from high-fat sources, you will gain weight and body fat. Okay, moving forward. Now, I'm not advocating that you count your calories and macros every day for the rest of your life. In fact, I believe one of the reasons that you were originally attracted to the keto diet is to move towards something that's more flexible rather than restricted. However, I do recommend that when you first start out on the keto diet, you want to count your calories, okay? It just makes sense to do that as well as your macros. This way, you can get an idea if your portions are too big. If they are too big, according to your calculations, talking about the calories, there are 2 things that you can do if you're finding yourself going way over your calories. Okay, number 1, you can reduce the number of times per day that you're eating. This is why I like to apply intermittent fasting. And I'll have a whole training on 5 intermittent fasting hacks that really do well with the keto diet. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2, you can reduce the amount of food you're eating per meal to have smaller, more frequent meals throughout the day. I'm not a big fan of that. I feel like I'm never satisfied when I eat small meals. So I typically choose number 1 and apply intermittent fasting. Okay, you got to understand that the point is the rule of thermodynamics still apply to the keto diet just like any other diet. Okay. Now let's move on to mistake number 5. This is a huge one. Everyone thinks, I can have all this fat on the keto diet. But guess what? Too much fat is actually not a good thing, okay? Now, like I said, while keto is a high-fat moderate protein, low carb diet, it's easy to go way overboard with fat. In my Keto Shed 40 coaching program, I have my clients eat a lot of fat for the first 5 days only, okay? The only reason I do this is to get people into ketosis as fast as possible, but more importantly, I wanna help them curb the cravings and stay satisfied throughout the day, okay? It's the only reason why I have them eat a lot of fat in that first 5 days. Now, after that, I will begin to reduce the fat in their diet because we need to give their body a reason to lose body fat. You can't lose body fat if you're relying on too much dietary fat for fuel. I hope that makes sense, okay? Moving forward, going back to what I said about calories, okay? You may not be aware, but for every gram of fat is equal to 9 calories. Protein is only 4 calories per gram, and carbs are also 4 calories per gram. As you can see, if you keep eating too much fat, your calories will begin to add up quick, putting you at a disadvantage, and you could actually stop losing weight or even worse, gain. All right? Okay, so that concludes the training. Now you might be thinking like, okay, what's next? So as I mentioned earlier in this presentation, I want to invite you to book a free strategy call at ketoshed40.com, or you could just click the button below. And on this call, what we're going to do, we're going to talk about 3 things. We're going to talk about where you're currently at right now with your body, where you would really like to be, and then we'll figure out a game plan to get you unstuck so you can begin to lose weight, get healthy, and add years to your life. Okay, so I have a limited spots. Like I said, I can only take on 5 people at a time. So if this is something that you're really serious with, I know it's something that I'm passionate about. I love helping people get in better shape. And I'm going to tell you something. The only regret you'll have is that you didn't do this sooner. All right, so go ahead, click that button below, and hope to see you there. All right, so that concludes the 5 keto mistakes you must avoid in order to average 10 to 15 pounds per month. Now, you may be thinking like, hey, Tim, I need something more structured. I need some accountability. I need someone to tell me exactly what and when to eat. Maybe you've got 40, 50, 70, 100 plus pounds to lose. Maybe you deal with pre-diabetes, diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure, sleep apnea, and all these other kind of diseases that you are just sick and tired of dealing with. Well, like I said early in this training, I want you to schedule your free 60-minute strategy call. Right below this video, you're going to see a button to schedule that call. Now, I can only take on 5 people at a time per week, so these are very, very limited. And what we're going to do on this call is we're going to talk about 3 major things. We're going to talk about where you're currently at right now with your body, where you would really like to be, and then we'll figure out a game plan to get you unstuck so you can begin to lose this weight and get in better health so you can add years to your life. So again, just click that button below, schedule your free 60-minute strategy call. Hope to see you there.